So the IMF made a statement targeting gold-producing African countries, explicitly telling them that they should treat gold as a high-risk reserve asset. And one could say this was specifically tailored towards Ghana as they are aggressively buying up locally produced gold from artisanal producers. Some of this gold, which would have had its value seeped out of the Ghanaian markets due to smuggling. The IMF argues that these African countries should not deem gold as a safe and favorable asset due to its bullish market value, claiming that these are temporary market valuation gains known as paper gains and not an accumulation of physical stability. They also made mention that gold is ill-suited when it comes to crisis and the countries need immediate liquidity, hinting that these African countries should put more dependence on the purchase of foreign currencies like the United States dollar and euro for quicker liquidity flows. So you mean to tell me that immediately the IMF realizes that African countries are now holding on to their natural resources and buffing up their central banks with these natural resources, aka gold, instead of foreign currency. They want to tell them that gold isn't valuable and they should place more dependence on the United States dollar and the euro. The biggest reason as to why most African countries' currencies are so undervalued is because of this foreign exchange between the United States dollar and the local currency. Most of the world's critical resources are priced on the international market in the US dollar. And this wasn't by mistake, this was deliberate. Let me explain what I mean. In 1974, following negotiations between the US and Saudi Arabia, the petrodollar scheme was created, basically to stabilize the global economy after the 1971 gold standard collapse. The United States agreed to provide military protection to Saudi Arabia, and in exchange, Saudi Arabia would price oil exclusively in the United States dollar. And they would invest their surplus profits back into United States Treasury bonds. And basically what this meant is that oil import dependent countries would always have to have United States dollars in their reserve. So in a situation like this where the United States are having conflict with Iran, and the price of oil is consistently surging, African countries have to spend so much of their local currency to buy expensive United States dollars. And this massively exposes African countries to immediate inflation and a continued poverty. The best alternative here for dollar for oil would be gold for oil, because even the United States themselves hold the highest reserve of gold in the entire world. And historically, the gold has backed the United States dollar. And pretty much the reason as to why they stopped the gold standard was because there was a run on gold from foreign countries wanting to convert United States dollar back into gold. So if the IMF is so concerned about African countries buffing up their reserves with the gold, why don't they go to Western countries to tell them to do the exact same thing?